الذكاء الاصطناعي كعامل لتحسين الإنتاجية في بيئات العمل الحديثة. في هذه الجلسة راح نسلط الضوء على الدور المتزايد للذكاء الاصطناعي في تحسين كفاءة العمل، وسنتناول أيضا كيف يمكن لهذه التكنولوجيا الذكية أن تساعد في أتمتة العمليات والإجراءات داخل الجهات، والأهم اتخاذ قرارات أكثر دقة من أجل أن تحول أو تعطي حلول رائعة ومستدامة لهذه الجهات. اسمحوا لي أن أدعو السيد الأستاذ همش مدهان لتقديم السادة متحدثي الجلسة والانطلاق في الحوار. Welcome to the stage.
Well, thank you, and it's a privilege to be here again. And so, may I invite to the stage for what is going to be a free-flowing conversation. Not sure where it's going to go, so bear with us on that. But could I please invite up to the stage, first of all, May Al-Hushan, if you'd like to come up to the stage. May is the CHRO at the Bank of Saudi Fransi. If you'd like to take a seat, thank you. Next, maybe Hatem Al-Bala, who's the Assistant Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Skills and Training at the Ministry of Human Resource and Social Development. My eating friend last night and the good conversation that we had last night, Hassan, enjoyed the evening with you. Group CHRO at Saudi National Bank. And last but not least, Badr Al-Otaibi, Head of Human Resources at Arab National Bank. Great. Thank you. Great. Well, thank you. It's going to be an interesting conversation because right before this, we've been hearing from some very, very talented and passionate CEOs about how important continuous learning is for their organizations, how it's linked to Vision 2030. And all the CEOs put this as one of their top priorities. And so now we've got CHROs that are going to come and talk to us about how are these things being implemented in their organizations. But first of all, let's push it up one level, first of all, and hear from Hatem about at a ministry level, Hatem. So can you describe at a high level, what's happening at a sector level to make sure that the entire workforce has access to upskilling opportunities, learning and development? If you could just provide your perspectives on that, please.
Yes, sure. Thank you. So at the ministry, we launched the labor market strategy back in 2020, approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. It was a reforming and transformative strategy with multiple initiatives. One of the key strategic pillars and unique to the ministry and to the labor market is a focus on skills and values. One of the largest initiatives in that pillar was occupational planning and skill system development. Over the last year and a half, within that initiative, we established sector skills councils, 12 of them, that focused on the main contributing domains and economic clusters that contribute to the 80% of the GDP in the kingdom. One of which is the financial sector, led by the private sector employees. 70% of the members on those sector skills are private sector employers, and 30% are government entities supporting the agenda toward workforce development. Those sector skills councils took AI and upskilling and reskilling early on in their agenda. For instance, the digital sector skill councils, led by MCIT and other leading employers, worked on the national occupational standards for all AI and data occupations to standardize them and approved it for the sector. This enabled human capital development efforts to be based on a standardized approach to develop career pathways, competency dictionaries, and lead the curriculum development eventually for those specific high priority occupations. Additionally, last month, the ministry in the Global AI Summit launched and participated with Sadaya on an accelerator focused on AI, where we aim to train 1 million Saudi, upskilling them on AI. We just launched it last month, and we are hopeful that all practitioners that are growing in the labor market will benefit, as well as those studying and need upskilling efforts on that domain. So the ministry is leading that from strategic point of view as well as tactically.
Is that on? All right, okay. So there seems to be a continuing theme, right? If we listen to the earlier panel about this massive investment in upskilling, continuing on through, sector level initiatives that you've just described. And this, I love the, training 1 million people on AI upskilling. That sounds like quite an exciting initiative. Let's move on to some of the people that are, heads of HR and running HR learning departments, and think about, what's the reality that's hitting the ground. So, May, if I could turn to you first, if I may. Talk to us about some of the things that you're doing in your organization related to, how AI is impacting the workforce, productivity, the employee life cycle. What are you doing in your organization that is helping?
Is it on? Okay.
Yes,
perfect.
But you'll need to be close up to the mic, yes.
Right. Thank you for the question. I think the impact on AI at BSF, I wouldn't imagine it being very different than it is across organizations, whether in the public or private sector, and specifically within the financial sector. Where we see the change and the exciting impact is, as we go through today at the bank, we're going through a complete revision of our 4 to 5 year technology strategy. And what we've noticed is a big pillar, main pillar to this strategy is investing in AI and RPA. Over the last 24 months, we've converted over 30 plus processes through RPA solutions. And what that did almost overnight is it changed the nature of jobs for many of our employees, but it also made it a lot more exciting for them in that mundane, repetitive, operational jobs have decreased, and we now have opportunities for them to unleash other incredible skills that will make them much more engaged, much more excited throughout the organization. So that's one piece. The second piece is how we've been experimenting with AI, and maybe I'll mention top of mind initiatives that we are either about to launch or have started launching. One key one is how do we introduce AI when it comes to dealing with customers, so virtual assistants, essentially. And I know none of us necessarily enjoy talking to automated assistants on the phone, but this is very different. This is basically dealing with a system that's has a backdrop of used cases that can deliver services to clients much faster with the customer experience in mind. So answering questions, delivering services on loans and on other transactions in real time. Now, how we measure the success of a project like this is quite simple. It's through NPS, and it's through the feedback that we get from our clients. A few other AI test cases that we've launched include fraud and cybersecurity, and the heightened focus in general on how we can ensure the safety of our clients, the safety of their banking dealings, etc. And where we've seen early signs of success is we have less false positive outcomes, which means clients trust is elevated, but also we don't interrupt their relationship with the bank, essentially. One last piece that's very close to my heart and more relevant to the audience today is talent management and learning, and how we're experimenting the use of VR in the learning process. So basically what we're experimenting with is, instead of bringing individuals or our employees into a classroom to teach them customer experience and to bring in fake role play, and it's boring, it's repetitive, it's not dynamic. VR allows them to dive into a world that opens many other possibilities that go beyond case studies that we can offer within the room. And if I can connect this with what our colleagues said earlier in the previous panel, it just makes learning a lot more exciting. I think HR leaders think learning is exciting, but for the receiver, I think it requires a lot more of a pull and excitement, impact, etc. So these are a bit of what we're doing.
Oh, here we go. What I found interesting in that, May, is how, taking away routine and mundane tasks, and often these are, leveled at early entrance into the organization, making that experience as employees come in, taking away the routine tasks, certainly something that's going to be beneficial. I remember my early career, I remember those routine, mundane tasks all too well, so anything that is going to help that to raise my experience high. I think the other thing as well is interesting, you mentioned about doing work which is impacting the client directly, right, and the client experience. We'll try and come back to actually that in terms of how do clients actually respond to that? Because one of the questions I got was, what about the empathy? Does AI and automating routes, what happens about the relationship piece of it? We'll come to that later on. But let me move on maybe to Hassan here about, what are you doing at SNB in order to making the experience for employees less routine and mundane, and helping in terms of learning and development and the overall employee experience?
Excellent. Thank you. Being here is part of our commitment to invest and to work on the latest technologies and to really ensure that we are implementing the best practices and evolve toward these offerings. As SNB, our main aspiration to be the employer of choice and even to be the best in digital banking. We are very vocal on how the technology and the digital is important. The digital services is really dominated in our offering, and we always publish the percentage of digital services. So today, heavy dependency on the technology, latest technology. For sure, as a bank, we are very heavily regulated, and we implement the technologies carefully. So we ensure that we have the right environment to implement these technologies. So in human capital perspective, I'll start from recruitment. I have our colleague here, the head of recruitment. Historically, we receive mountain of physical CVs in any recruitment department. Today, we have a barcode you can just scan and you can implement. The way we really prioritize, review the pipeline of the applicants is really today is streamlined. So the stages of recruitment is different these days. The way you review, you fulfill the entire chain of onboarding activities, is the technology play a major role in it. After recruitment, we are really accountable or responsible to ensure that we equip our workforce with the best technologies. So today, this is a responsibility, and today we are already covering all the levels of the organization in terms of the know-how of these new technologies across our SNB Academy, across our offering toward different layers. Part of the content include AI, RPAs, different technologies. So today, it is we need to reskill, upskill the entire population on these technologies. Beside that, there is traditional libraries where the colleagues are very active on attending these new courses on AI, even if it's non-relevant to their role. Everybody is interested, and the impact is different when really you understand this technology and how to use it. We have series of SNB talks with the best players in the market. So the participation in these talks is very high, huge, physical and remotely. So across all levels, different channels, we are investing to ensure that they understand these technologies in order to implement it carefully. On top of that is the active participation in such events, including Seamless, FinTech 24. So the bank is present in these events.
Yeah, one of the things that strikes me, especially in this region, and I think the earlier group talked about it, is there's just such a strong burning appetite to learn and grow. In many organizations I work with around the world, sometimes it's seen as a little bit of a drag on you that you have to go. But here is totally different. It's almost as if we can't get enough opportunities. And so, but I'll come to you in a second to hear what the Arab National Bank is doing in terms of using AI. Right. But again, the themes that we're hearing about, more and more digitization, more and more elimination of routine tasks, more and more learning opportunities. So, Bada, how about at where you are and where you are the head of HR? What's going on in your organization?
Okay, our experience is a little bit different. In HR, 6 years ago, we faced an issue with the high turnover, especially with the high talented people and high potential people. We decided at that time to implement machine learning to predict leavers, also to show the trends and why those people are leaving the organization. We hired people, we hired the data scientists at that time, and 6 years ago, some of the executive might not depend their decision on the outcome of AI. We try with the model of 80-20 and regression learning, then we come up with some of the list. Also, the trends was showed and the trends of people, why people are leaving. Then we actively went and we fixed our policy, we fixed the matters. And also we enhance, based on that, we establish so many functions within HR in order to take this action item and to fix the issue that related to. Also, we come up with some of initiative to reduce the turnover and to reflect this initiative into our learning activity. This is an HR side. In the bank side, we established a data center, a data management office, where their role is to implement AI and to come up with a decision driven by data. Starting from the traffic on branches, traffic in ATM, segmenting the client, personalize the offering to the client, and also understanding the client bracket by age, and also mapping our product offering to the client to understand what is why the client are keen to take this product and why client is not interacting with us as a main bank. We went beyond that. We went to the to our data, and we crunch our data to understand where is the fees are coming from in the business line, and where is the profit is coming from, to understand which green area that we should tap into, and which area that we should expand our business in. I will go back to HR. And based on that, we reflect all the outcome to our learning activity. We customize some programs, especially for our RMs, customer-facing staff, to enrich their skills, and also to embed them with something, how to read the data, how to crunch the data, how to visualize some data, and also to teach them how to request the data. Because, you know, in banking, some of the data are scattered. As much as you are doing, as much as you are building the data stack, some of the data will be scattered. Also, we develop a program for our IT developers in order to understand what's kind of data available within the government body, and how we can integrate with the government body to fetch data, and also to enhance, and this will enhance our customer experience and customer journey. Less data you're requesting from your client, best in-class journey that you will deliver to your client.
Yeah, it's interesting. It sounds like there's a clear case everywhere, right? That for sure, I mean, AI is being used to automate, it's being used to help employees, to do data analysis. I wanted to come back to the point I challenged May with earlier on about acceptance levels. And you talked about decisions that are made, automated decisions that are made using artificial intelligence, right? May, you talked about applications where clients are having to deal with AI-based tools. Just quickly to share, I was in Dubai recently, and I had to have a medical test, and a robot came towards me, literally a robot came towards me, started speaking to me, and obviously, my first reaction was to run away from this. But actually, I asked the robot to, it was something simple, to get me a drink, and off it went. And so that initial resistance that I had needed to see something, right? So I'm wondering what your perspectives are, and if I may come back to you first, given that you were talking about the work you're doing that exposes clients to this. What are your thoughts in terms of the level of acceptability when you know that you're not dealing with a human being? Maybe a bit challenging, putting you on the spot, but I'm going to go to everyone with that, right? So what do you think? And maybe we've got a volunteer here.
I think change by nature, people resist change, like what you did with that medical robot.
Yeah.
So, and from a labor market perspective, this technology advancement is always compared to the previous industrial revolutions we had. When the first one from agriculture to factories, the second one from factories to mass production and supply chain, then the third one in the early 2000s, which is the .com and the e-commerce and the digital advancements. Now this one is an evolvement of all of that. I think automation led to big data led to necessity to come up with a technology solution to deal with that big data, rationalize it and process it. So I think people, by nature, they adopt what us as employers, as policymakers, as governments, we need to just take that process in and flow with it, aligned with it, all the regulations, all the education, all the training offerings to support that transition and that change management.
Yeah.
So, but by nature, I'm not skeptical at all. Human beings are adaptive by nature, and we will adapt. And luckily, in this country, we have huge investments and huge ambition, and we have a youth workforce in our labor market who's eager, who are digitally savvy, who can adapt. And sometimes, as I was discussing with Hassan before the session, they struggle sometimes that when they have, we all actually, when we have fresh graduates, we find them are way advanced in the term of the tool they use to the ones that are available in their corporations. So I think we're in a good position in this country, and I'm not so worried about it. It's about how we address the issue rather than resisting it.
Well, that's pushing me onto a related question I had around acceptance and generational differences. I mean, you touched on that briefly. You know, I have a young daughter who's far more sophisticated at use of technology than I am. So I'm wondering whether, you know, if you're going back to the CHROs around the table here, you know, when you think about helping employees in your organization, you know, using AI, do you look at it in a different way based on, you know, different generational differences, you know, different age categories? Do you have different approaches? Or are you expecting everyone just to take on, irrespective of where you are, whether you're freshly new graduate to whether you're a seasoned executive? What are your thoughts around dealing with that? And May, I'll come back to you.
Sure. First, a side note on the robot that you talked about in medicine. I'd love to have that at home as a co-parenting tool specific to teenagers that I have at home. So I hope one day we celebrate.
I think if we invented that, we could make a lot of money.
To that. But how we use it in the office, I think there. Generations definitely have various reactions to this change. Where I think leaders within HR and within the industry can capitalize on this change is what we've seen over the past 10 years is younger people coming into work and showing very little interest in staying in one job for longer periods of time. They've also shown interest to progress much faster than usual. They've shown interest to not become specialized like we thought specialization was the thing in the past. So if we take all these generational preferences and bring them closer to how we execute AI, I think it becomes a win-win situation for the organization as well as for that specific talent pool. Sorry. So I think the cube comes together so nicely and in being able to deliver AI.
Right, of course, and there's a lot of focus on the younger generation in terms of development. As in last night we were out for dinner, you talked to me about the graduate development program that you've got. Tell me what are you seeing in terms of you know, fresh graduates, you know, their expectations in terms of how the organization is helping them learn and develop. Same thing, you know, do you expect that there's a shorter shelf life that they have with the organization? Is it harder to retain them? Do you have to invest more? What's going on in your organization when it comes to graduate development programs?
For the flagship development programs, we invest on really giving them the foundation. In terms of technology, they are really advanced in understanding these technologies, but we need to onboard them on the environment overall, the regulatory environment, the principles, the policies, in order to link the dots. So what are the borders in order to implement these type of technologies? And what is the risk behind the implementation? They're very passionate. They want immediately to experiment or to pilot any new products and services. And then they need to understand the consequences of any action. So our responsibility is really to provide them with the entire dimensions in order to really accelerate in this topic, and a number of programs with reputable vendors and to ensure what is the best practices. And we have few attachment in certain technology companies to ensure that they have first-hand experience on their role. And even from physical experience, we introduced the VR in the academy. We do have 2 VRs here in SNB booth. Anyone of the audience can see the the bank environment inside a branch. I hope it's still charged. From the morning, I see long queue to see it. So I urge you, the audience, they can experience the VR glass of SMB.
Right, great. And I was fascinated by how much focus you have at your bank on identifying the best talent, investing in them, retaining them. Hatem, I'm going to come to you in a second because there's a lot of more youthful people, let me say it like that, here in the audience. There's a lot of youth, but it'd be interesting to hear from you, you know, at a sector level, at a ministry level, you know, what are you doing for youth development? But first, let me go over to Badr and say at the Arab National Bank, you know, what are your thoughts around graduate development, and is there something different that you're having to do to attract and retain people? You know, what's going on in your bank?
A year ago, we started with a campaign, democratization of AI.
Right.
AI, right for everyone in the organization, and everyone should benefit from AI in order to increase their productivity and to enhance their outcome and to come up with the creativity. And for that, we also rephrased our organization value by incorporating innovation in one of the organization value. And also we embedded in our performance management. I'm going beyond your question because I would like to start with something bigger in order the audience can benefit from. And then we went into that level in order to shift the paradigm within the organization and to also equip our people with the tools that can benefit and can upscale our outcome in the organization. And maybe most of our clients in Saudi Arabia noticed the change in the bank. Notice the change in the service and delivery, and also in our touch points, all touch points, mobile app, ATM, branches, and people. We went also to incorporate AI with the MBS and CSAT. CSAT customer, MBS and CSAT, it's known, it's a customer satisfaction rating tools. And then in order to also understand what is the bottlenecks that the client are facing in our services and product and or our offering. We went also more deeper to our employees in the branches, employees discussion, and how the employees are interacting with our clients in order to enhance and to all our focus on customer experience and customer engagement. Then we reflect all the outcome to our JDB. We created a program specifically for IT and technology. All the program are digital-driven curriculum. The program we incorporated with the top school in the world. We enhance the program itself. Data was maybe 30% of the program for people how to understand the machine learning, the cloud computing, all the new technology skills. And in order to deploy them in technology field, we deploy them in business field.
Right.
Because those people will drive the business in future. And we need these kind of skills to be embedded within business. Technology is not for technology only. Technology is for HR, for business, for compliance, for risk. Technology it need to be scattered everywhere. And this is what we did in Arab National Bank.
Great. It's fascinating. We come back to, you started out, we come back to this focus around the customer experience as well. And I know many organizations that experiment.
If you allow me, it's not only customer experience. It's customer experience and employee experience.
And employee experience, correct, yeah. And many organizations that experiment with AI-based investments, a lot of CEOs are asking those two things. Yes, how does this impact the employee experience, and how does it impact the customer experience? So Hatem, I want to go back to you. You mentioned, and again, I'm drawing back on the words about democratizing AI, and you mentioned 1 million Saudis being trained on AI. So how do people get access to developmental opportunities that you are driving forward?
That's only one initiative
Yeah.
that's led by Sadaya. There is a dedicated portal for it. But let me answer your earlier question about how to address the sector-specific workforce development needs. Back to the initiative within the labor market strategy, occupational planning. One of the challenges we've seen in the labor market, and this initiative is addressing to, is the demand side of the labor market, the employers. They never been organized to address their sector-specific. Unlike the financial sector for me is a North Star. Not all the sectors, they have financial academies set for decades, leading to nationalization to be above 80–85%. So it's a North Star for the country, but other sectors, they do not have the same strong regulator, SAMA and CMA, and challenges are different. For instance, construction, where low-skilled jobs dominate the sector, and so forth. So the occupational planning initiative acknowledged this from the very beginning, that global best practices organize the demand side in the form of sector skill councils. This is the experience in Singapore,
Yeah.
This is the experience in India, and has been the experience in UK for over 60 years. So the private sector employers, they set up their sector-specific requirements, agenda, workforce development needs, and to start building the infrastructure for them to start planning their workforce development needs and programs and tailored tracks and personalized learnings. They need to standardize the occupation themselves by developing the national occupational standards. They need to set up competency frameworks, not for all the jobs necessarily, like what we see in the financial academy here. They have been operating through Jadarat, which is the competency framework for the priority jobs that they're focused on, where they license them, they run the examination, they develop the curriculum and the training offerings. So sector skills councils, for all the 12 of them, they're working on that infrastructure. When I mentioned Sadaya and the digital sector, they set up their AI NOS. And the tourism, they just released and approved their competency framework and occupational standards. Ministry of Culture as well is taking the lead on the culture sector and so forth. So sector skills councils are the bodies that should supposedly to address the sector-specific needs, having the government part of it, the relevant party, and the employers most of it, and the employee being the center of focus of it. So that's where we take so much pride of that achievement as a country, and we are building on it. Now those 12 councils are being expanded.
Right.
We're looking into cybersecurity sector and more. Like in India, for instance, they started with 12, now they're around 37 sectors, because they are, as a labor market, one of the major exporter of labor. So similarly with Singapore, when they transformed the economy, they started from the human capital, which is the center of any development process. And lastly, I would mention that is the vision of Saudi Arabia 2030. I acknowledge this from the very beginning. We have a dedicated program that looks after human capability development program with so much initiatives on the supply side, on the education and training, or on the demand side with us in the ministry, that we can elaborate more on in the future questions.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that. And again, as I'm sitting listening to this, the overwhelming feeling that I get is that there's a lot of positive energy behind this and a lot of effort. Everyone can see the benefits. I'm going to try and just, take a dark side for a little while. Because, I believe that whenever you see something, if it shines too brightly, you need to look somewhere else. And there is a dark side of using artificial intelligence. There are some risks. There are some examples in the industry about things that have not worked well. So maybe Hassan, from your perspective, do you discuss this? What kind of conversations do you have around the potential risk/damage that AI can do, as you implement more and more initiatives?
For sure, this is a big concern, especially regarding the discussions with the fresh grad. They want immediately to implement the latest, the best today we do have a sizable data points in terms of employees, customers, different data points. So first of all, before implementing any module, we need to ensure that it's a protected environment. We experiment this carefully. So we are not the early adopters on just experiment a technology. We need to ensure that we will benefit from that. And few examples, for example, in employee opinions. So today we have, for example, traditional employee opinions surveys, and then the free text. It's very difficult to deal with the thousands of free text. However, there is models, summarize it, quantify it, give you a clear roadmap on how to quantify. So instead of spending weeks of Mondays or review, this is in a few minutes you will have a conclusion. So in different stream, the solution will help. The data is an enabler, so it will enable us, and it's a journey. So we will not just take a big risk on implementing, understand it carefully, and implement gradually.
And great, that's a good intro. I want to go a little bit deeper than that, and Hatem, I'm going to come back to you around, there's a lot of questions being raised about data privacy. So are you able to comment on a regulatory basis, what your thoughts are around data privacy, concerns around that?
I think globally, what we see as we explore this topic, the ministry from a regulatory point of view, in consultation also with the ILO, the International Labour Organization, is the ethical and social implications. Meaning, we see potentially the AI could positively influence how the workplace dynamics will be. Let's say, for instance, decision making. AI, as it evolves, it's generate responses and feedback based on historical data, algorithms, and machine learning. So one of the risks that we see, especially in corporations and at the economy at large, and this could be polarizing decision making in the long run. So we are cautious of that risk, and also encourage to trust but verify. Try to do the research yourself, to bounce and get more feedback, to test that even more. So this side of the dilemma or the risk is globally recognized. So I see that being addressed in the coming months or years globally, including here in Saudi Arabia. Another risk could be the rhythm or the pace that the AI is evolving is unlike any other previous revolution. Let's say the digital revolution in early 2000. It took us 20, 25 years to reach where we are now, of so much automation, so much augmentation to process all this data and coming up with the AI as a model. Previous revolutions took decades or a century, the first one and the second one until the third one. So Gen AI is evolving quite dynamically. I see a risk of governments needing to step up their game, employers as well, employee themselves or the public themselves, not to be outpaced. And we're trying to play a role as a ministry of addressing that by work norms, by tactical accelerator programs, education as well. From a regulatory point of view, they're also looking into that, not to be outpaced by the fast evolvement of that technology.
Yeah, I've seen any, I think we're running out of time. I've seen any kind of new innovations. There's always, riddled with potential risks. And yet somehow we get through it and we manage. And I sense the same, although things seem slightly different. I mean, when you look into AI and the bias that it has, data privacy, it just seems a little bit deeper this time, needs more thought. I'm just conscious of time and wanted to try and close this out and just get your thoughts, and maybe I'll start at the other end with you, Badr, around, where's this going to take us? I mean, have we got a crystal ball? What do you see in 2 or 3 years' time, how do you see this evolving and impacting the employee experience and productivity? What's your thoughts? And then I'm going to go around and maybe we can close with our closing thoughts around some vision of the future that's not too frightening and not too unrealistic. What are your thoughts about it?
First of all, let me answer to the previous question. The risk of AI, what we are noticing now, AI is lacking the critical thinking. AI lacking the creativity. If people reliant on AI fully, they will also lack the emotional intelligence. AI is a tool, it's a powerful tool. People should leverage on it, should use it for purpose of learning and for purpose of raising their productivity. For what we are thinking in terms of views, we are keen and sure that AI will eliminate some jobs and will create some jobs. Now, our role as an employer, we have to start from now for right sizing, strategic workforce planning, understanding what is the skills that the market is needed, the market is looking for, and start building program for these skills. For us, we are collaborating now with too many training providers in order to prepare ourselves for right sizing and strategic workforce planning. AI definitely, some jobs will be no longer needed in coming 5 years. Where those people, how we will deal with them, we should enroll them in very extensive program in order to utilize them in somewhere else. Also, AI, we have to think now what is the tool that we should keep it with us and how we can leverage in these tools. We should also work on our procedure and our policy, as we are seeing now in even with the regulator or with some of the government body, they are preparing themselves for the future, what will happen in the future. We should also co-op with them. Also for our client now it changed. The client perception into the, let's say, bank or capital market changed. They are not dealing or banking with only one bank. How we can change our interaction with them in order to be the primary bank for them. How we can come up with a product that going beyond even the client, going to their family, and also engage, not the engagement, it should not be with the client itself, it should be with the whole family in order to keep the relationship with the bank. We are working on for this one. Also for our activity and in our reporting, because if you look to the banking, maybe 20% of their jobs is only reporting. For reporting, we are utilizing AI to prepare the reporting for us and also to do an adjustment for reporting on behalf of us.
Well, thank you for bringing us back to some of the risks. And, you've started to allude to some of the things that you're going to be doing in the future. May, if I could move to you as part of our closing in on this, how do you see things in 2 to 3 years' time, that's realistic, and aspirational, finding the balance between the two? What are your thoughts?
Sure. So in my view, this technology is here to stay, and probably the solutions that we have today that collectively in the room we've experienced will look nothing like what we will look at and experience maybe only 2 to 3 years from now. But I'm also absolutely sure that us humans are here to stay as well. And I think we talk about AI and the development of AI, but really what will ensure success as we bring AI and humans closer together is for us to reprogram how we manage change, how we become better learners, faster learners, how we embrace a change and become really, truly, and I know this is a word that's a bit cliche, but how can we really transform ourselves to become agile human beings that change jobs without anxiety, that embrace doing things in a way that we've never were successful in doing before, and allow this change to drive our personal success, our team's success, and our company's success. And one last piece that I wish maybe next time we can dive into further is not to lose sight of culture. So this, I think, keeps me up a bit at night, because we can all, in all organizations, we can copy each other's products, we can copy each other's solutions, we can go and invest in the best possible AI solutions, but nothing will differentiate us like culture. And if we push that aside too much, I worry that then we lose humanity. And I think that's the core for success. So good luck. I think the future is so bright. I don't think we're being overly optimistic, but this is my true sense of what the future will look
May,
like.
I think you've beautifully articulated how, sometimes we get wrapped up in technology and business and innovations, and actually the most important thing is our own humanity, and you beautifully describe that. Hatima, I'm going to let you finish because you started. So first of all, Hassan, just love to hear some closing remarks from you around, again, maybe there's a human touch to this, just what are your thoughts in terms of how things are going to evolve over the next 2, 3, 4 years?
Totally agree with the human touch and the culture. Our generation experienced the pandemic and how we was not really happy on fully working from home, fully. So the human touch really is important, the collaboration, increase the innovation. As a journey, it's a journey. The future is really, the technology will enable us in the future. Today we are really advanced in our current offering technologies. It's not the responsibility of the technology unit, or it's everyone's responsibility. And these technologies today is even on a personal level available. So today we need to educate ourselves, the accountability of the individual to ensure that he is aware of this technology. Again, what is the borders that he need to be careful about. And we are very positive in the future how it will be cascaded across different sectors, unit, departments. It's not linked to one product. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I like that. It makes me actually think on a tangential note around, there's a lot of effort that organizations, and at government level around upskilling and helping people. A, let's not lose our humanity, and B, I love the point that you made around, taking your own initiative as well, right? Let's not wait for people to do things for you. There's so much available that we can all take our own initiative. Hatem, over to you. Have you got a crystal ball, and can you predict the future on the spot?
I think, not to exaggerate, and to look into the AI as a tool, like any other tool. Yes, it is robust, it's very innovative, it's fast-paced and everything. But I think we're the generation that's currently entering the workforce are completely different than our generation. They've been born in the digital economy or the digital revolution itself in the heart of it. So they've witnessed iPhones from the very beginning. They've seen the computers at early age, and used them. So I'm not worried about that generation entering the workforce. I think we should look into this technology as a tool, how it could enable us. I think also there is a tendency, and we are encouraging it as a government, to always embrace a lifelong learning journey. So learnings of yesterday could be usable tomorrow, but some will be obsolete. This applies to us. The way we are using certain softwares or certain tools are no longer applicable, like what happened in the examples my colleagues gave when they implemented RPAs or automation in their bank. They had to reskill their workforce. Some will be also redeployed, as my colleagues did, through also another programs. So I think we need to embrace change, embrace these tools, shape the future of it that best fit our culture, our needs, and prosper through using them. That's my thought.
Great, that's a wonderful ending for you. Maybe I could try and wrap this up with sharing my own perspectives as well. I've been coming in and out of the region here for about 11 years. And earlier on, Ali mentioned about how we had a great group of CEOs. You know, from what I've experienced, and compared to other countries and other cultures that I get a lot of exposure to, it's not just at the CEO level, it's at every level here that there is this burning desire, the ambition, the hard work. Don't forget to sleep. There's hard work that's involved. And you've seemed to be, everyone here seems to be supported with, you know, government-backed initiatives, company-backed initiatives, sector-led initiatives, availability of tools and resources, opportunities to learn and grow, international opportunities as well. So I really feel that it's not an inflection point anymore, because which I felt the kingdom was, a turning point. You're actually continuing to accelerate forward. And that's, I think, the testimony that I get of the people that have been here on the stage and the hundreds of people here, is that you're on a very, very accelerated journey forward. Keep going, keep doing what you're doing, and but get some sleep and rest. It is important. And with that, I'd like to thank Hassan, Badr, Hatem, and May. Thank you. It's been an invigorating conversation. I've enjoyed spending time with you, and I appreciate the conversation. Thank you.